What is up, YouTubers? Johnza here, and welcome back to another episode of Sawcasters. And today, the last podcast we did, we were talking about a little community I've started to be a part of, which was with Sonic, a VTuber, and a few of his friends on, I'm not really friends with them, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm in their Discord, I'm in their chats or whatever, so, good community all around. And I know he started rambling about other stuff during that video, so yeah, that was an interesting episode. But today we're going to be talking about a certain game that has been pretty much out for a week now as of recording this. It might be 3 weeks since the game's been out, but we are going to be talking about Pokemon Legends of Arceus. Now, it's, obviously in this case this is just a week standards already. 3 weeks later, who knows. But at my point in the game, I'm already to the point where I've just gotten Braviary at the time as like a Pokemon ride. So, yeah, I'll just say that's how far I am at the point of me recording this podcast. But, yeah, I have to say, this game, Pokemon Arceus, is definitely, a very, very good game. I definitely love the game a lot. As I'm doing my series for my main channel right now, link in the description below, as I'm doing the series for it already, I've already got a bunch of pre-recorded videos ready to go as of recording this episode, and I just keep finding myself going back and grinding out some stuff, like research levels, catching some other new Pokemon just off camera and stuff. Which, is pretty fun, especially with all the new Pokemon that are out there, too. And it's not just my point of view that I think this is a good game. There are a lot of people that find this game amazing. I'll just also say this. Recently, or actually just today, there's this YouTuber I watched. Well, he's not playing the game. Well, I mean, he might be playing the game, but his content's not based off playing games, like reviewing game information and all that, and leaks about some other games that might be coming out, or sources of leaks and all that. But according to what he found out, which this guy's called Around the Clock, the base of Nintendo News and all that, but apparently Pokemon Legends of Arceus, in the span of a week, have sold over 6 million copies. And I'm just sitting here that many in a week? Because, if you guys don't also know, with Sword and Shield and Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, there's at least over, I think Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are 14 million copies sold already. I think at this point, and Sword and Shield are 16 million, which in any case, it kind of makes sense why Pokemon Legends of Arceus got sold for that much, or that has that many copies out, because it's only a one-game variant as well. There's no game differences or anything like that, how Sword and Shield are, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu and all that. So there is a little sense there, but over a week, 6 million? Damn, that's a lot. I'd also have to agree that it's definitely a very fun Pokemon game for sure, and it definitely it drives off from what normal Pokemon is like. It's like a different Pokemon experience, which is very, very interesting, which I also like. The fact that you could just kind of go around and just capture Pokemon without battling is kind of neat. I kind of like it. You could kind of take a stealthy approach, hide in the grass or something, and then try to bait them with berries, and then throw your Pokeballs at them. And then at some points you catch them. Sometimes they get out, but that's fine. But yeah, I think it's very interesting, and it really makes you want to capture a lot of Pokemon, especially since it's needed for research data too, because that's also another main factor about the game, that you have to get some certain data about the Pokemon in order to complete the Pokedex, which is very interesting. You don't just have to encounter and see them or capture them in that case the one time. like there's other objectives as well of getting to know the Pokemon. Like you feed the Pokemon, or at least the wild ones. You can't feed your own, unfortunately, which I think that would have been interesting, but eh. Um, but yeah, you feed the wild Pokemon mostly just for luring them away, so you have a better chance to catch them. The amount of times you catch them as well is amount of thing, because I think there's one point where it's like you can capture one, or then the next achievement's up to two, then four, then eight, then 16, and stuff like that, which is interesting. And then the amount of times defeated, and there's even the chances of seeing the Pokemon use a certain move. Like, as I'm playing through the game right now, um, like I guess Infernape at this point, um, one of its moves that you need for research and see it use is Flamethrower. So, like, if you have Flamethrower on Infernape, you keep getting that data every time you use Flamethrower, which is very interesting. I definitely do like that factor, which it's just a lot different than most of the other Pokemon games, which I kind of like because it's kind of broke out of that repetitive sort of field, like you just set out on a journey, you go collect badges and all that, or you go get a special item, I guess. I would like to say badges, but like there is one series of Pokemon that didn't have badges. They had like the Sea Crystals, which is Sun and Moon, but then they did kind of bring it back in Sword and Shield. That aside, like you get to a certain point, battle like certain gym or bosses or anything like that. I mean, there are bosses in this game, but like it's definitely different for sure. uh, there's also the fact with alpha Pokemon, which is definitely very interesting to me. The fact that you can capture these like bigger variants of these Pokemon, like at one point I have like well, pretty much the first alpha you get in the game is Kricketune, or at least your first opportunity is. If you decide to just defeat it in battle, it's like, oh, okay. Not like it's not like your only Kricketune you're gonna find, but or Alpha Kricketune. But I put my Alpha Kricketune besides a Kricketune I already owned, and the size variance is definitely different. Like, it's insane. Um, but yeah, I think it's very interesting to have that alpha variants, especially since the alphas are like always. For one, they're stronger than normal. They already know the moves that the Pokemon wouldn't exactly know at the time, and like the fact that they're always like angry as well, which makes it very hard to stealthily catch them, and even when you go up against them, it's hard to catch them as well because they, like I said, they have these other type of moves that could actually like kill your Pokemon when you don't even know it'll have it. Like, I think this episode's already out by now, but like one of the episodes, when I was trying to capture my second alpha, which was a B-Barrel, I've had a hard time. Like, it was really knocking out my team a lot. Like, I had to run away and heal up my squad to try again. I did eventually catch it. I think my second attempt going back in, throwing one Pokeball or something, and I was able to catch it, which, is interesting. I was able to catch that, but, it's like a bit of a challenge. And the fact that the alpha Pokemon are actually, like, more higher level than the actual Pokemon around the area is actually very interesting. Like, you can capture it, and then you have, like, a very strong teammate on your side, which is very interesting. Like, in my case, with alpha Pokemon, normally I would be able to catch the regular forms, and then I would just keep the alpha forms as well. Like, I'm not even getting rid of my originals. It's just originals and alphas. I'm just bringing them together. Normally, if there's a chance to capture an alpha, then I'm going to do it. There's also a case where sometimes with alphas, I mean, there are set alphas in some certain areas. Like, there's a B-Barrel, Parasect, and another Kricketune in the Obsidian Fieldlands, which is the first area of the game. And in those those are like set alphas, so you can like knock them out, capture them, whatever, and then leave the area, and then when you come back, they're back there again, which is interesting. And another type of alpha that we get to see at times is that there's like random like other alphas that come out of nowhere. Like I think at one point, I don't exactly remember where it was, but I know a place where there wasn't an alpha at the time. There was an alpha Bidoof, which was interesting because I was like, oh, there's just an alpha Bidoof. Okay, that's interesting. I was able to catch in my first ball sneakily, but you know. In fact, as I go through Pokemon Legends of Arceus, catching alphas, I always try to do them stealthily because I know my team's going to be freaking knocked out, which is the case so you don't also lose a lot of your materials. Which I guess is the next thing I want to talk about, the materials in the game. I like the fact that you can get these certain ingredients in order to make stuff like potions and Pokeballs. I think that is a very like good option. I mean, you can still like buy them at a little shop or whatever, but I think it's very interesting to go out and collect these things yourself. I think it's very helpful. Plus, then you don't have to use all your money just to get these, get the Pokeballs or medicine that you need for your Pokemon and all that, which is very helpful. Like, honestly, at my point in the game right now, I have like so many apricorns and tombstones, I can make like almost as many Pokeballs as I want. Literally at the point I'm at the point with Ultra Balls now, so I just normally try to find Iron Chunks to, which is the extra item you definitely need to make Ultra Balls. But yeah, I just grab Iron Chunks and or not buy, find Iron Chunks and then just make Ultra Balls that way, which is, you know, very interesting. I think the highest level Pokemon I probably even have in my game as of recording right now is probably a level 70, which I'm pretty sure that's like an alpha, most likely. Because the alphas are always like way more powerful in game. Or like they're way more powerful than any other Pokemon in the area, which is insane. But yeah, I guess next will be the environments. I've only went through like 5 environments so far. I haven't actually completed the 5th Noble Pokemon yet, but all the different areas are very interesting. I do like that factor. Like the Obsidian Fiendlands, it's like a nice easy area. Same with the Mirrorlands. At least I think it's called the Mirrorlands. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But there's those two, which are okay areas. Like there's not too many like risky spots to die or anything. And then you kind of move on. There's a bit more risky stuff like some cliffs and water and all that that you can drown. That's one thing I kind of don't like is the drowning part. Like you can't swim like far before you like drown in anything because you can't swim. And even when you try to get to a ledge, like you're like swimming very very slowly, so it's hard to get back on land. And then when you reach a certain point, your character will just start like looking like he's drowning or whatever, and you can't move at that point. Which at least at that point you don't instantly die. Like you only get damaged a little bit, which is it's terrifying, but at the same time, like you're not instantly dead if you fall in the water, which it's fine. Height damage is definitely also something interesting as well. I will admit, later in the series, I do die to height fall, so and yeah, I guess ridiculous with height fall and stuff. You really have to be careful when you're on high areas, especially I think in the 4th area, because it's more of like a mountain type of area, which I'll get to the ride Pokemon in a second, but like you make a wrong jump and you can die and then lose your items. That's another thing too. Item item droppage. Like I think it's interesting that you actually lose items if you yourself die, which I mean, yeah, it loses some progress and stuff, and you might lose some valuable items as well. But I think that's like also worth the risk at times too. So like, you know, um, it's so people don't decide to just like die just to get back to base camp anyways. Which honestly, you don't even need to die for that. If you're in a safe environment, you can just like teleport right back to base camp and then just heal if you need to, or put in your evaluations of Pokemon that you've gotten so far, which very very interesting, very interesting. But yeah, like I guess it like amps up the risk if you do die. So like people be like, "Oh, I'll just die here. It doesn't matter. Like I'll be fine." And but like in this case, you might lose something like very valuable. Like I think at one point, I think I lost my one Dawnstone, which was definitely a rare item to find as well. So I was like, "God damn you! I wanted my freaking Dawnstone. How could you do this to me?" So yeah, I lost my Dawnstone, and it was definitely not fun. Well, granted, there is a way to still get those somewhat easy, but I'll get to that in a little bit. And yeah, right now for where I'm at, I'm like in the winter area. I don't always like focus on the names of the area too much, except for the Obsidian Fieldlands and Mirrorlands because those are the first two, so like I'm used to those. I know the third one's like coastline something, at least close to that, and then the other two that I know of so far. But yeah, haven't ran into a legendary yet, but I bet you the legendaries are definitely going to be hard to capture for sure. Um, I don't know if there's any Master Balls you can get in the game yet. I've only made it up to Ultra Balls. In fact, I'm only rank 8 stars into the game so far, so who knows? There's still a chance maybe I can craft some Master Balls, but I definitely think there's going to be like very rare items that you would need to actually make the Master Ball. But yeah. I guess that's also another thing I like about Pokemon Legends of Arceus is that now that it's not like an exclusive version game, like you can literally just capture whatever Pokemon you want. Like it doesn't have to differ on different game variants. Like as you guys know in Sword and Shield, Brilliant Diamond, Shine and Pearl, at times there'll be some Pokemon that are just exclusive for that different area. Like honestly, I think for Brilliant Diamond, for instance, I think you can have like the Electivire line, but you can't have the Magmortar line. I'm pretty sure. At least that's what I remember. And then there's also like the fossil Pokemon, like you can have the Cranidos and Rampardos in Brilliant Diamond, but you can't have Shieldon and Bastiodon in Brilliant Diamond. You have to. Those are Pearl exclusives and all that. So I kind of like that factor, especially which kind of makes sense with Legends of Arceus, especially since your main goal is to like complete the Pokédex, catch them all, which is definitely another interesting factor that it's very easy to capture. Well, I wouldn't say like easy, but like easy to find these different Pokemon to capture. Like I feel like you can easily get to these Pokemon and be able to get them right away. Like even with happiness evolutions, like they're not as bad, honestly. Like I think at one point I was trying to level up a Togepi to evolve into a Togetic, and that needs happiness evolution. And I do remember losing a battle with it. Like it fainted too, so I'm like, oh no, affection went down. But like not that long later, it already said that I was ready to evolve, and I'm like, oh, okay. So happiness is not that bad. Also, another thing I do like about Legends of Arceus as well is the fact that you can evolve your Pokemon whenever you want. It's not at a certain level that it just decides to evolve at their own time. Like, you're just able to level or evolve them when the option's there. Like, it'll mention, hey, this Pokemon's ready to evolve. You want to evolve it now? Which I think is interesting, especially if you don't want to evolve this specific Pokemon. Me, normally, I always like to have the strong Pokemon, so I normally evolve them anyways. But in this type, like with the game and everything, it's at least helpful in case you want to get that certain data of that certain Pokemon before it evolves. So, like, you can complete its research data and then evolve it. And also, I think that's a very interesting choice right there and all. So, there's still stone evolutions as well, which those aren't too bad. What other evolutions are there? Oh, right, there's a certain item as well. I don't know if you can actually find this in the wild, but with the MP points that you can get, which I'll explain a little bit later, with MP points you can get something called a link cable, which you can use that to evolve Pokemon that you normally need for trading. And I used this on my Haunter, which evolved into Gengar. I was like, oh boy, I can actually just get Gengar whenever I want. I don't have to rely on another person at this time. Because normally when I play Pokemon, I honestly don't really have anybody to trade with, so, this works. Even though there is trading in the game, you still can trade in the game and do the evolutions that way, which in this case, I guess it would be a little bit easier because you still have to get the merited points. Um, and going into the merited points, I think this is if you have Nintendo Switch Online. I'm not sure. I haven't really tested it on any of my other accounts yet, which don't have Nintendo Online. But normally, when you go to a certain area, you can go and search for people's lost satchels. And then you get MP points for that, and then you can go to like the MP store and buy some like evolutionary stuff, like the link cable, like I said, all the evolutionary stones, the electric geyser for Electivire, the Magmarizer for Magmortar, uh, the Reaper Cloth for Dusclops, and I think it's called the Protector for Rhyperior, and there's also the Metal Coat that you can evolve Scyther into Scizor or Onyx into Steelix, which, it's very, very handy. I kind of like that factor because it's easy to evolve those type of Pokemon that are normally hard to evolve unless you have like another person to trade with in those cases. Honestly, the trade evolutions are probably the hardest one to make for a team just because you have to rely on either another person or another copy of the game, which you would also need another like console in order to do that. Like the only time in older games I can probably do trade evolutions is more of my DS games, like with Pokemon Diamond, Platinum, and Soul Silver, because those are DS exclusive games, and I have an original DS and a 3DS, and I guess also Pokemon. I think I have Pokemon White and Black too. Like those would also work as well. At least games that you're able to connect with as well. Like you also need like two different kind of games as well. So there's that as well. But yeah, like just with those, I'm able to do the trade evolutions, and anything like 3DS and above, I can't do trade evolutions honestly. I mean, unless I get lucky with an online trade, but I don't normally do link online trades too much, honestly. But yeah, just because I don't have another 3DS or anything like that. If I did have another 3DS, I could do stuff with XY, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire sort of thing that way, and Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Sun Moon, stuff like that as well. I could do the trade evolutions then. Um, in fact, actually, funny story, kind of getting off track of Pokemon Arceus, but I do want to mention this. Um, one time, I think it was like, it had to be like a couple months ago or something like that. I was just starting to play through Pokemon Moon again because one of my close friends actually got Pokemon Sun. I think it was a gift or something, and I mean they're not like the biggest fan of Pokemon, but they have enjoyed the game a little bit, and their favorite Pokemon is Rowlet, so they went for Decidueye, and they had Pokemon Sun, so I thought, hey, I have Pokemon Moon, so maybe I'll play through that anyways. Funny thing about that run through as well of Pokemon Moon, I found two shinies, which was Ladybug and Zubat. So I found two shinies in that one, which was very interesting. But I also caught myself a Haunter, and I also thought, hey, maybe I can trade this with my friend because I know they also have a Haunter that they could evolve too. So we trade our Haunters and evolve them into Gengars, which was interesting. I also nicknamed my Pokemon then as well. But yeah, funny enough, I will say the 3DS Online feature still works for those. I'm pretty like at least last time I checked because I was able to get some other Pokemon that you normally can't find like in the game. You'd have to like get a trade in for that, which as of now, I'm pretty sure Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon has the biggest span of Pokemon you can obtain in that game. At least the last bit that has, because obviously when Sun and Moon came out, Sword and Shield came out, they mentioned that they weren't going to add in all the other Pokemon in there, which, is fair because every time they have to load in all these different Pokemon into the game and all that. So it's understandable, especially since like now with Pokemon Arceus being out and having a few extra new like Pokemon and evolutions and all that, we have over 900 Pokemon now. Like that's a lot. That's a lot of Pokemon in general. 900 Pokemon in general with Pokemon Legends of Arceus being out. Like you got Cleavior, Wadeer, I'm not counting the Hisuian forms. These are like different Pokemon with different evolutions. We have that. There's an evolved form of the Hisuian Quillfish now. There's that as well. I don't know if there's another one exactly, but I know there's probably like a few more. I just can't think of them on the top of my head. But yeah, there's like Hisuian, like Lilligant, Electro. I was thinking it was like I can't even think of the Pokemon I was just thinking of. Executor, that was it. I was thinking there's a Hisuian Executor for some reason, but I was thinking of Electro at the time. I was like, wait a minute. But yeah, there's different Hisuian forms as well in there, obviously. But yeah, I guess the next thing I'll talk about are the different ride Pokemon you can get, which honestly they're all very handy. Well, I would say like most of them, but I guess Ursaluna as well is another one, which I'm gonna get into as well. But and Sneasler. But yeah, talking about the different ride Pokemon, Wadeer is definitely very interesting if you're like on a flat surface and need to get somewhere fast, at least ground wise, or just in order to get away in general. It's definitely a very good early game to just roam around the area because honestly, without some of the ride Pokemon in general, the areas would seem so much bigger. It would just seem so much bigger in general. But like with Wadeer and everything, you can kind of get to areas somewhat fast and faster in general, which is very handy. Especially in his case, where you can like, I'm pretty sure he's like the fastest one you can run with, so very handy. And then you have Ursaluna, which you can use Ursaluna to find some treasure and stuff. In my case, I haven't really used Ursaluna that much ever since we got Ursaluna in my playthrough, but if you do want to like search for some items and stuff, I guess Ursaluna can be the case for that. The next one up there is Basculini. I think that's the name of it, but it's like that new like evolved form of Basculin, which you can ride through the water and stuff, which is very helpful, especially since you can't swim. But yeah, it's helpful for water purposes, and hell, even before you go back onto land, you can kind of like jump. You can like do a double jump with Basculini as well, which is interesting. But like you could kind of jump just before you get onto land, and like it's almost like you're a flying fish at that point. The fourth one you get is Sneasler, and they help you climb mountains, pretty much. They help you climb places that you wouldn't be able to climb. So, like, say there's like a straight wall going up. You can use the laser to climb up that specific point until you reach a flat surface where you can stand on. So, that's pretty helpful if you need to get to a high place and you don't have anywhere else to go. So, that's helpful. And then and the one I just got as well, is the Hisuian Braviary, which, honestly, I think it's almost like a better Wadeer in a way. Hisuian Braviary, like, once used in a high area, you can literally, like, almost fly anywhere in the area that you're in, honestly. Like, honestly, also, once you summon them probably from the ground, you do go up just a little bit, like, I think maybe like a couple feet up, and then you just kind of fly around, which you can dash down or, like, dash, which, if anything, you only fly more closer to the ground, if anything. You can't really fly any higher, unless you're, like, on a ground surface and then you activate Braviary at the time, but other than that, there's no other point when Braviary goes up. Normally, even with Dash, like, you just kind of start going down, like, a little bit. He's kind of, like, angled going towards the ground a little bit, not like straight down. That's like a different action you can do, but he kind of slowly gets closer to the ground, like very slowly, so you can like fly around to a certain point easy. It's he's pretty much like a glider, if anything. He's like a glider that you can use to get to places, especially from a high point. But he's very useful, especially when you don't want to deal with any Pokemon. And I think it's also a nice getaway too, because when you activate him, you can just fly up out of reach from those Pokemon and then just dash out of there, which is helpful. There might be another Pokemon ride that I don't know of yet, because I think if anything they might smash through boulders and stuff, because I have encountered something that looks breakable, but so far I haven't had anything in order to break those things, like enter caves or different paths I can't enter. So there might be something for that, maybe in another world that I don't know of, but I'll just have to wait and see. But like I said, I haven't really taken care of the Noble Avalog yet, so you know. And then there's the different nobles, which honestly, I kind of like them being frenzied a bit. I kind of like the little mini boss fights you get to have with them, which is very interesting. The fact that you have to get them tired out and not, like, have them confused a little bit before you battle them is very interesting. And the fact that once you do beat them in battle, they just get stunned a little bit, and then you can throw more of the, I guess, food bombs at them so they can calm down. Which I think is very interesting, especially with the more survival sort of thing where you have to try to avoid their moves and try not to get hit. And, it's very interesting. I've pretty much one-shotted everything at one point, so it's a little bit of a spoiler into my series if you haven't already. I just think probably maybe at this point, we probably haven't seen a Hisuian Arcanine yet, but, Um, but yeah, I think probably my most favorite noble story, or at least the one that's more heartwarming, is the Arcanine noble. Just the fact because we got to see it evolve from a Growlithe into Arcanine, and then it got hit with the frenzies from the Almighty Sinnoh, as the Pearl and Diamond clan like to call it. And then yeah, just the fact that it had to leave and do its own thing. It was also sad because, well, I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler, but obviously at this point, a lot of you guys already know what's going on in the game, so but basically, the parent guardian of, or the parent guardian of the little Growlithe that evolved into the noble Arcanine was the original noble, which apparently died in sea trying to save a Pokemon or something. So it died and is now living as a ghost. So very interesting, and just the fact that the boss fights are very interesting to go through. I like them. I like them a lot. I kind of also like how in the game there's a Diamond and Pearl clan, kind of referencing back to Diamond and Pearl a bit as well, which makes sense because Hisui is literally it's literally Sinnoh, but in the before times, which I guess that's also another factor because at the start of the game, I think it's pretty obvious that we as a character come from the future and go into the past, which is very interesting. I think that's definitely a very good story part. They don't really touch on that too much or anything, but they do kind of reference it a bit, I think, after Electrode, because, funny enough, you're not the only one to travel back in time, I'll say that much. Someone from the Pearl clan went back in time too, but they kind of lost their memory and everything, which the person that is Subway Boss Ingo, which if you guys remember from Black and White, there's the Subway Bosses Ingo and Emmett. Ingo apparently went back into the past and couldn't remember much, or really remember anything, so that was very interesting to actually see another person from the future, and I think go back to the time of Asui as well. And nonetheless, he was already a member of the Pearl clan as well. But yeah, very, very interesting. I do have to say this game is very amazing, and like I just can't find myself playing any other game at the moment. Honestly, it's definitely a lot of fun to go through, and I've definitely enjoyed it. Is there anything else I need to talk about with the game? Uh, hmm. I'm not sure. I do know there's another little shop and stuff that you can. Well, I do know what I wanted to talk about, but there's another little shop that you can get like some XP candies. Like there's like a small, medium, and somewhat large XP candies, which you can use to level up your Pokemon as well, which is very handy as well. Um, I guess yeah. Funny enough, also with the starters as well for the game, there's only like I guess two sets. I say two sets kind of because well, you guys know the Hisuian starters are literally like just a mix of the other generation starters, which is Cyndaquil, Oshawott, and Rowlet. Which it's very interesting. I do kind of like their forms a little bit. They're very interesting. I gotta say, with Decidueye's Hisuian form, it definitely threw me off a little bit. I wasn't too interested at first, but like kind of looking at it a few times, I'm like, okay, it's all right, it's all right. Funny enough, my one friend who likes or had their favorite Pokemon is Rowlet, and they do also like Decidueye. They weren't really too fond of seeing Decidueye in its Asui form as well, so there was that as well. But yeah, I guess people get thrown off a little bit of what they look like. And funny enough, also before the game came out, I kind of got spoiled a little bit of how Asui and Typhlosion looked because someone had it as a thumbnail in like the Pokemon memes category. It's like, bro, the game hasn't come out yet. This is spoilers. But anyway, like, there's also a case that I just kind of had to spoil myself and just check the Pokemon on my data decks because I knew people were going to make thumbnails about these different types of Pokemon, and I was going to be like, oh, I'm going to get spoiled on them anyway, so I might as well just check on my freaking data decks. So I kind of know which Pokemon are kind of in the game already, so there's that. And I do want to say, if you want info on Pokemon and stuff from all the different games and stuff, I definitely recommend Datadex. Datadex is definitely a very good Pokemon Pokédex app where it pretty much gives you like all the different kinds of information you need. Like there's stuff from pretty much Red and Blue. There's stuff from Diamond and Pearl, Sword and Shield, Arceus. Like now even stuff with Arceus and stuff. Which I find using it a lot when I'm not sure about some certain things. Although there are with type matchups and all that with certain Pokemon, it is a little. I will say it's not exactly on key, just because there are some Pokemon that obtained the Fairy type in, as you guys know from before, because Fairy types were added in Gen 6, so you know, the Pokedex doesn't really show them as their original type in, so you'd have to like check out what type they were before, and then search up a Pokemon that is just specifically that type as well, so you'd know what it's weak against and what it's resistant against. So there's that. All right, going back to the starters, I kind of and like yeah, there's like two sets of starters. Obviously being the Hisuian starters and then the Sinnoh starters, which I think it's interesting that you can actually just go and find the Sinnoh starters out in the wild. Which I mean, as you guys probably already know from my series already, I've already had a Infernape, or at least a Monferno at this point. So probably my best favorite Sinnoh starter as well. Which, funny enough, you can actually get like Chimchar almost right away. He is kind of a rare encounter to get a little bit, but it's honestly not that hard to find Chimchar, honestly. You can literally have a Chimchar in no time. Also, with Alpha starters as well, there are Alpha starters of Infernape, Torterra, and Empoleon. And yeah, they're pretty high level. You probably need like more ride Pokemon to even get to these locations in the first place, but there's all that. But yeah. I guess that's all I really have to say about Pokemon Legends of Arceus. It's definitely a fun game, and I definitely recommend anybody out there who hasn't gotten the game already to play it. Even if it's going to be your first Pokemon experience, like, I definitely think it's a nice start for some people as well. Especially since it's, like, very different from all the other Pokemon games, which, like I said, definitely recommend. And once again, Data Dex, because it gives you all the information about certain Pokemon as well, so... even like where you can find them in the certain games as well. So like if you don't know where to find this specific Pokemon, you can literally look it up. Like it's just that helpful. Like I will say, I don't know if I haven't actually recorded the episode where I've gotten this Pokemon yet. So spoiler alert, I got a Alpha Torterra, right, and I had to figure out exactly where it was, because I was looking around in the Crimson Mirrorlands, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I had to actually look it up, and then mark it on the map and where to go, and then pretty much I just looked a little bit around the area, and I found it, so... it's definitely... Datadex is definitely helpful to find, like, some Pokemon that you want to find, and all, so... if you need help finding things, there you go. But anyways, I think that's going to cut it for this podcast episode. Like I said, Pokemon Arceus is definitely a fun game. I definitely recommend it. Which, I mean, hell, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, it literally sold over 6 million copies with over a week, so it's definitely a good game. I have heard rumors that some people hate on the game for some reason. I don't know why, but I don't know. Anyways, we're going to end things here. Thank you guys so much for watching this podcast, or being a part of this podcast. If you like this video, press the like button or subscribe or whatever. And I'll see you dudes next week for another podcast. See you dudes next time.